What is it that gives so many women the confidence to get divorced? It's beauty filters. When she turns on the beauty filter and looks at herself, she no longer has any idea what she actually looks like. I think as women, it's important to look in the mirror more often. Our looks, whether beautiful or not, are given to us by our parents, and we need to learn to accept that. Beauty filters are just tools for fun and entertainment. My advice to everyone is, don't lose yourself under the influence of beauty filters.
When they woke up, tens of millions of older single women in China were completely panicked. I noticed that a large number of foreign beauties have now appeared in the matchmaking scene, most of them born after 2000, all over the place looking for marriage. Some of them can speak 5 languages, some earn 50,000 yuan a month, are willing to have children, and don't even ask for a bride price. Their only requirement is that their partner must be a Chinese man. Some netizens say that people in Jiangsu have already taken this route, and it only cost them 4,000 yuan. Who would have thought that in this area, people from Jiangsu are way ahead of the curve? What do you think? In 2025, single men, is someone finally going to turn their life around? That one, tough to deal with.
Older leftover women themselves aren't the problem, but the things they say and their values are a big issue. They've messed themselves up, missed their prime, can't have children anymore, and nobody wants them. Then they start loudly promoting online, not giving a cent, not having kids, staying single, living freely. It's not that she doesn't want to get married. It's that nobody wants her anymore. It's not that she doesn't want to have children. She can't have them anymore. As she gets older, she starts bragging about not getting married or having kids. This kind of value system won't influence the next generation of young women. She'll drag others down with her, and in the end, they'll become just like her. Leftover women, resentful, and a burden to society. If you choose not to marry or have children, why do you have to talk about it? Why do you have to influence others? So, what's being criticized isn't the leftover women themselves, but rather what they say. Nowadays, when it comes to marriage, there's really not much benefit for men. They're squeezed by housing costs, squeezed by wages, squeezed by bride prices, squeezed emotionally, and constantly squeezed for money.
Tell me, what benefits are left for men? The so-called continuation of the family line is actually about having children together. It's not like men absolutely have to have this. Now, all these unreasonable things are being forced onto men. As for so-called sexual value after women have been with someone, if they cheat, it's everywhere too. And also, before marriage, they're messing around everywhere too, having several boyfriends and all that. You spend so much money, buy a house and a car, and still have to provide emotional value. Aren't you being, if you keep falling for this, you're just someone who hasn't woken up yet. Don't you think being a simp is kind of pathetic?
Honestly, I feel like being a simp is even worse than being a player. Think about it. No matter how much of a player a guy is, as long as he takes responsibility, doesn't he become a male god? But what about simps? They're just people who let themselves be trampled underfoot by women, completely losing a man's dignity. I feel like people who act like simps seriously mess up the normal dating and marriage scene. Sigh, to sum it up in one sentence. No matter how bad a player is, at least he's still a person. But a simp, no matter how good he is at groveling, he's still just a dog.
Do you think it's easier for men or women to get married these days? It's easier for men. If a man has money, even in his 40s or 50s, he can marry a woman in her 20s and have kids. For women, once they're over 30, it's much harder to find someone. The older they get, the harder it is, and men with good conditions like a car and house won't choose them. What if a woman is over 30 and has great conditions? She has a house, a car, and good income. Even if she has a house, she won't use it as the marital home. In marriage, it's still expected men provide the house. Even if she earns a lot, she won't contribute to household expenses. She'll expect the man to earn more, otherwise he's considered So tell me, what would we marry a woman like that for?
What do you all think about what this guy just said? Do you know what's the most toxic piece of advice I've ever heard? It's this. If you can't give me love, can't give me money, and can't give me the life I want, why should I be with you? Everyone, have you noticed this? From start to finish, it's all about demanding, demanding, demanding. If you can't give me what I want, why should I be with you? Isn't that the logic? Isn't this just blatant toxic advice? Now, if the roles were reversed and a woman heard this, how would you feel? Tell me, putting the transaction so openly on the table is just taken to the extreme. So if I were a man, how would I think about this issue? That would be, if I'm rich, good looking, and have assets, why would I choose you? To put it bluntly, this isn't an expression of female independence or feminism at all. I think this is completely a kind of spiritual poison. Totally unfair. If girls take in this kind of toxic advice, you'll definitely become a slave to money, and people like this have fundamentally twisted values. And even if their values are twisted, you can't wake them up no matter what you say. So I see a lot of marketing accounts online claiming that there are 30 million more unmarried men than women in China and that women are in high demand here. But what those accounts don't tell you is that in first and second tier cities, there are actually far more unmarried women over 30 than there are unmarried men. And high quality men are really sought after. There are rumors online that Wang Xichong changes girlfriends once a year, but I'm telling you, that's actually pretty low key. I've seen a rich second generation guy who changes girlfriends every month. Compared to that, Wang Xichong is nothing. You don't even have the right to talk about human rights. So what are you doing talking about feminism? So let me tell you what the truly correct values are. The real right values are that when two people are together, it should be a win-win situation. You help me succeed and I help you succeed. Either we share wealth together or we go through hardships together. If you haven't struggled and worked hard with me, then what right do you have to come and claim my wealth now?
So if you want to use something of your own as a bargaining chip to trade with others, then don't try to dress it up as love or not love. You're not even worthy of mentioning half a word about it. Women are slowly turning into deadbeats. This Women's Day, two painful statistics are kicking off a tough year for older women. The first statistic shows that men's spending during Valentine's Day dropped by 45% compared to 2023. Meanwhile, spending on self-investment, such as fitness classes and tech products, has increased by over 70%. Men are no longer blindly spending money on women. The second statistic is even more disheartening. According to several financial data platforms, the delinquency rate among female borrowers has increased 20-fold year-on-year, with 80% of overdue debts concentrated in ritualistic consumption like beauty, luxury goods, and travel, without men footing the bill. So-called goddesses, in order to maintain high levels of consumption, are being forced to become neurotic about online loans. Why is this happening? If you look closely, you'll notice that we just had a Valentine's Day and a Women's Day that both passed in complete silence. In previous years, marketing campaigns about goddesses and queens would be all over the internet, but this year it was just an ordinary Saturday. The reason behind this is that gold diggers are still dreaming the dream of consumerism, but men have already woken up. The simp economy has collapsed. Men have realized that instead of getting caught up in consumerism and having abnormal relationships with gold diggers, it's better not to date at all. Women say that giving birth for men causes more harm to their bodies than the hundreds of thousands in bride price. Lady, I think you need Nezha to set you straight. How much capitalist chicken soup have you drunk to poison yourself like this? Have you lost all sense of humanity? Even a tiger won't eat its own cubs, and even a hen knows to protect her chicks. The flesh and blood in your womb is your own child, yet you say you're giving birth for a man. Are you wearing human skin and eating dog food? Why can't you speak like a normal person anymore? How are you so calculating? Why don't you go be a surrogate then? Only surrogates can say they're having a child for a man, because that child is handed to the man at birth and has nothing to do with the surrogate. It's just a transaction. You want it both ways, don't you? If you treat having children as a bargaining chip for security, the world will be full of kids missing fathers or mothers. If you treat marriage as a way to make money, everywhere will be filled with divorces. Because if you have money, you stay. If you don't, you leave. Since ancient times, have you ever seen an era where marrying a wife would make several generations spend everything they have? Now, it's all because of these exorbitant bride prices. So many families on the groom's side end up deep in debt just to get a wife, and so many girls' families end up separated from their loved ones because the mother-in-law insists on a high bride price. Mothers-in-law who break up couples like this should be punished just like those who traffic children. Are you really so desperate that you have to use your daughter's marriage to make money? The bride price is just a token of goodwill, a way to wish for good fortune. 66 or 88,000 should be enough. Young people are capable and should work hard for themselves. Why force the groom's family to borrow everywhere, begging everyone they know? How can you just ask for 300,000 to 500,000 and you don't even provide a dowry? How is your daughter supposed to live after marriage? Those who believe these empty sayings harm others, themselves, and the next generation. Even pigs don't root for cabbages anymore. After all this strife, you're only hurting yourself and end up with nothing. That's all I have to say.
Women can't move up through social connections. Women can only move up. Well, they just think they're networking upwards. But there's no way to actually connect. How can you socialize with people who live in villas and drive Rolls Royces? What do you have to offer? You can only trade sex, not truly socialize. To network, you need leverage. A couple pounds of flesh isn't leverage. There's plenty of that everywhere. Without leverage, how can you network? That's why so many women work hard on their so-called skills, spending all day online taking those so-called self-improvement courses. It's useless, honestly. For successful men, sex is something of very little value. It's extremely cheap. The men you can attract with sex are all low-value men. These are men who don't have much going for them. Men who are truly capable, know the value of their careers, know how valuable their villas are, know how valuable their cars are. How could they possibly be won over by your so-called self-improvement courses? Are you kidding me? The more impressive a man is, the more he wants to possess. It's like, what can you do for me? Can you help my career thrive? Can you make my career even more successful? Can you make my family more prosperous? Truly capable men only think about these things. Only simps and doormats would think about earning money just to support a woman. That's why so many women have the wrong mindset. They're destined not to live a good life. Everything you see on Douyin that teaches you that all you need to do is offer your body and a man will give you his car, house, and money. It's all wrong. This kind of fantasy can only be found among a handful of rich second-generation heirs or older, disabled, and self-made men. These are extremely rare cases. Most men won't fall for this, especially smart men, who definitely won't be fooled. Even among honest elite men, they won't fall for this either. Even rich second-generation heirs are even less likely to fall for this. Among so-called losers, there are also smart ones, and they don't fall for it either. Only turtle men and bootlickers fall for this, but these people aren't really capable anyway. So, if a woman's mindset is wrong, her life simply can't go well. She's out of touch with the real objective circumstances of society. That's why many women think they're defending the world, but in reality, women can only sway the bootlickers and turtle men, not the elite men. And even the more well-known loser men can't shake the rich second-generation heirs, let alone the blonde punks. In other words, women simply can't influence any man of a higher caliber. When it comes to high-caliber men, women can only compete head-to-head. So if you want to be worthy of a smart man, you have to be outstanding yourself. Otherwise, you'll only be able to find those so-called returnee men or bootlickers with money in places like Gilai or Tiange. But even then, you'd have to win the lottery again and again to actually meet such a man. So in the end, after hearing my logic, many women will say,
They say, I just have the Zisha physique. No, you don't have the Zisha physique. You're just not very smart. You lack independent thinking and you're being manipulated by others. Scumbags don't like you because they have plenty of women. You're not attracting them. You're just being toyed with by a playboy type. Some women even say they've been protected by an eagle.
You weren't protected at all. You just had your butt stuck in for a moment, that's it. What makes you think it's so easy to find a good man? Look at people nowadays, those taking teacher exams, civil service exams, or trying to get into state-owned enterprises. They all rely on connections, relatives giving gifts, even handing over money, and still might not get in. It's that hard to enter those fields. So why do you think finding a good man is so easy, and even expect these good men to be devoted and follow you around? Tell me, on what grounds? There's no logic in that, is there? Let me tell you, ladies, you have to understand, finding a good man is even harder than finding a good job. Let's take elementary school teachers as an example. In the consultations I usually have with women, there are so many who are elementary or middle school teachers, there are a lot of them. Even they have a hard time finding jobs. Just look at the situation now. Isn't it really tough to become a teacher? Those of you who have taken the teacher qualification exams or tried to get a teaching position, you all know how hard it is. Dozens, even hundreds of people competing for a single spot. Isn't finding a good man the same kind of challenge? Why do some girls feel like, oh, I have a good job and I look pretty decent, so why aren't these men chasing after me?
Finding a good man is even harder, okay? All women, a huge number of women, are eyeing that top 10% or 20% of high-quality men. Seriously, whether it's doctors, nurses, civil servants, or anyone else, they're all competing for this group of good men. How could that be possible? How could these good men possibly be the ones chasing after you, right? So I tell my sisters, when you meet a man who's pretty decent, you should take the initiative if you need to. Oh my goodness. But for some of these little fairies, asking them to take the initiative is like asking them to die. It's even harder than that, honestly. I've had so many girls come to me for advice, and when I tell them to take the initiative, oh my, let me tell you, lately I've really been hearing a lot about this. A lot of these girls have told me, oh, Minji, I listened to you, and after I took the initiative, it really worked. It actually made a difference. I'm not saying this to sell you some kind of course. Absolutely not. I don't have any courses and I don't have any tricks up my sleeve. What I mean is, when you meet a good man, you should go after him like you would go after a great job, like a mad dog, really. Good jobs are hard to find, and good men are even harder to find. I'm not telling you to do anything crazy. I'm just saying that not all men are good men. You all need to remember that, so don't just start criticizing blindly. So, what am I trying to say? I mean that a good man is something you should cherish even more than a good job. Some young women just don't get it. They don't understand this principle. They sit around all day expecting some domineering CEO to chase after them for 8 blocks, always hoping for those CEO chases his wife to the ends of the earth kind of storylines. Seriously, watch less TV dramas. Stop taking in so much of that stuff and stop drinking that toxic chicken soup advice. Let me tell you, I've met so many girls who say, oh, if I take the initiative, won't that make me look cheap? Cheap? Not at all. Unless the guy himself is really low class. As long as the guy has decent qualities and you don't seize the opportunity, some other smart girl will snatch him up right away. Of course, what I'm saying here is for those sisters who are looking for a partner or want to get married. For those who don't want marriage or kids, why are you even watching a video from an old lady like me? Seriously, there's no need. Let's not argue about it, really. How should I put this? For those of you who are against marriage and having children, just block me. People like me, I mean, I've already been divorced and remarried. Obviously, I feel that there are advantages to marriage. If I can benefit from marriage, why wouldn't I? Wouldn't it be foolish not to take advantage of it? Besides, with my level of education and skills, if I didn't get married, wouldn't that be such a waste? A real shame, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I've truly come to understand something. After all my ups and downs, getting married and having kids, why did I come to this realization? What I realized is that finding a good man is actually a bit easier than building a successful career. When it comes to pursuing a career, it's not just women. Men are also in the game, so your competition basically doubles. And you know, in your career, you're up against people in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Everyone's competing with you. But when it comes to men, it's different. How should I put it? When it comes to men, well, most likely my competition is mainly people between the ages of 20 and 40, so the group I'm competing with is obviously much smaller. And honestly, building a career is actually harder than finding a man. For those women who are determined to focus on their careers, let's ask ourselves honestly, is building a career really that easy? When you're building a career, don't you have to bow and scrape to your bosses, to those clients, to those big shot clients? Isn't it just about being subservient? If you have to be subservient to countless clients, wouldn't it be better to just win over one man? I want to emphasize something here. A good marriage, a happy marriage, requires effort and dedication. It's not like once you've secured a man, everything will be smooth sailing forever. Some women have this mindset thinking that if I treat him well, once I've won him over and we're married, then I can just stop caring and leave everything alone. That's not how it works. A good marriage requires long-term effort and care. Like I said, you need to treat your husband the way you would treat your boss. Yes, you have to keep providing value in all aspects for the long term, not just give up after you've won him over. Like I said, truly happy couples are always the minority. You have to put your heart into maintaining the relationship. It's no less difficult than building a career. Keeping a good family together is just as challenging as building a career. It's a lifelong endeavor. Of course, I'm not saying that after getting married, women should just stop working and rely entirely on their husbands. Look at me. Even after getting married, I'm still making videos all day, aren't I? I still want to earn money. Why is that? Because my belief is that while it's important to find a good man, you shouldn't spend your whole life thinking you can just rely on a man. Relying on yourself will always be the most dependable. You are your own greatest support. You see, ever since I got married, I've been working even harder than before. Why? Because I know my husband. He's not bad looking. His income isn't low, though of course he's not some super rich guy either. So I definitely need to have abilities that match his. I often talk about this in my videos. For a relationship to last, you need to be equally matched. For a relationship to last, there absolutely has to be a match in value. I need to keep improving myself so that I can always be a good match. Another reason I work on myself is that if one day my husband upsets me, I can really just kick him to the curb. We have to maintain the ability and confidence to leave a man whenever we want. Otherwise, if I get old and lose my looks and I don't have any money, how am I supposed to find a younger, attractive guy in the future, right? So what I'm saying here, I really hope all my sisters can understand this. There is nothing wrong with marriage and love. If there is anything wrong, it is that you have chosen the wrong person. If there is anything wrong, it is that you have no ability. You do not have the ability and skill to choose these people. If you really encounter good resources, you must take the initiative to grasp them. Don't have that fairy mentality. Hey, these men should chase. I should take the initiative. Really, this is pure stupidity. Really a good man. Good job. You absolutely have to take the initiative to go after it, understand?